Tonight I want to talk a little bit about simplifying, kind of paring things down. Basically, the book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And I want to talk about this because it's something I've been working really hard on the last couple of days, and so I'm really excited about it. And whenever I'm really excited about something, I talk with my hands, and I just can't really shut up about it. So I just thought I would share kind of how my experience has gone, and just kind of some tips and some things that have been working for me, and some things that have been super not working for me. So hopefully that can be helpful to someone else out there. So let's back up a little bit. I have always been messy. I've always been messy. I have 2 brothers and a sister, and my mom always said that I was the messiest child. Just messy. My friends in high school would come over to hang out at my house, and they'd have to clear a spot in my room to sit down because I just was messy. My parents are kind of extremes. My mom never wanted to have anything around, and my dad always wanted to have all the things around. And so I fall somewhere in the middle. I want to have all the things, but now as an adult I want them all to have a place. And I live in a very small house, so it's complicated. Anyway, so all that to say that I've always been messy, but anyway, I ended up with a lot more stuff, and I want to talk to you a little bit about why. I sort of developed this scarcity mindset. We spent the first years of our marriage very, very poor, super poor. And we brought home our first 3 babies, 3 or 4, to my parents' basement. So we were living in my parents' basement for 5 years to a million years, I don't know, a long time. And so during that time, I kind of just started accepting everything from everyone. People would come over and say, I have baby clothes, do you want them? And even if they weren't the right size, I would take them. Toys, home decor, just stuff. I just accumulated all this stuff, and it's I felt like I needed to say yes to all the things because I might not have a way to pay for it later or whatever. So that's just kind of my background. I've always been messy, and then I went through this period where I just was accepting everything from everyone, and so I ended up with a lot of things. And so I read the book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and I just fell in love with it, and I knew it would work, and I knew it was magical. And I've been trying to do it for 2 or 3 years, however long ago that I read the book. But it was hard. And so I want to talk I have 6 points, 6 things that have been helpful for me, and then 3 things that I think you should try to avoid if you are going to, if this is interesting to you. I mean, if you already feel comfortable with the number of things you have in your house and you're happy with the things that you have, it doesn't matter. So the concept of this book is to go through your house, go through all your belongings, category by category, to pick each item up and ask yourself if it sparks joy. If it does, find it a home, find it a specific place to live. If it doesn't, get rid of it, donate it, or whatever. And so one of the, this is maybe my number 1 favorite part of the book, and it's funny because it's a point that a lot of people kind of make fun of or criticize, but my number 1 favorite thing from this book is that she invites you to thank something for its service and then let it go serve somewhere else. And that may sound cheesy or corny, but that was a big mindset shift, paradigm shift for me, that I don't have to keep all of the things. I can thank them for what they've given me and let them go somewhere else. And that they're not serving me anymore. If I let every single person in town bring me all their baby clothes, then I have stacks and stacks of baby clothes, and that doesn't serve me because I can't find the ones that I want. And so I can thank them for whatever it is that they have given me, and I can send them on to a better place. And sometimes that better place is the trash can. I'm just going to say it. So that may be corny, and maybe you don't feel comfortable saying that. You definitely don't have to say it out loud, but that was so helpful for me to just be this is not serving me to have this in my home. It's not. I need to let it go. So my second thing is to realize that you don't have to do it just like the book. Like, she suggests paring everything down all at once, finally, and be done with it, and you'll never mess up your house again. And that's a really nice ideal, but that didn't work for me. And I think there's kind of these two concepts that I hear floating around a lot, minimalism and essentialism. So minimalism, to me, is kind of like, how few things can you have in your home and still be happy? Like, how many things can you get rid of? And then essentialism is kind of more like, what are the things that I really want? What do I really need? And do I really want these other things? Maybe let them go if they're not helping. And so I feel like when I read the book, I kind of felt like, oh no, I got to be a minimalist. I can only have one pillow and one towel and one bowl for each human in my house. And maybe that's not even what she was saying, but that's kind of how I took it. And so I've kind of drifted more into like an essentialism mindset. Like, these are the things that we want, and these are the things that we need, and the things that we don't are not serving us, and we can let them go. Another thing from the book, like, she suggests doing it category by category instead of room by room, and that's a really nice idea too. But for me, I had to kind of go room by room first just to see, like, what do I even have here, and kind of pare it down into categories. And now I'm starting to go category by category. And, I mean, there's a lot of things. The book is really great, but it was her experience, and so let your experience be different. One final thing that she suggests, like, putting on your nice clothes, and don't listen to a podcast, don't listen to anything while you're doing it, like, just be alone in silence and kind of let it be, like, this sacred thing. And that didn't really work for me either. So that kind of leads me to my next point, that for me, and maybe for you, like, make it a party. Like, it wasn't fun for me to just sit there and sort through things. It made me feel like I wanted to eat. And so the most success I've had is when I find someone who's willing to either just kind of come sit and talk to me while I do it, so I can talk out loud about, do I want this, do I not want this, this is why I might want it, this is why I don't. And like, my mom came over and worked with me in my garage for like 3 hours, and that was so much fun to me. I'm a giant nerd, but that was so fun to clean the garage. And that's not the way she recommends it in the book, but like, find what works for you. My fourth tip is to just take it one thing at a time and don't get overwhelmed. Like, it's easy to look at, like, if you'd seen my garage, seriously, it's like, let's just burn it and start over. But all you have to do is pick up one thing at a time and just say, does this spark joy? Do I want it? Do I have a need for it? If you do, keep it. If you don't, let it go. It's really easy to get overwhelmed. That's another reason why it's helpful for me to have a person with me, because then we're having fun, we're having a party, and we're not just like staring at this mountain of things that we need to sort through. This is an important tip. Number 5 is to save the sentimental things for last. That's something she recommends in the book, and I just think that's so important. Anytime you're coming along something and you think, there's no reason for me to keep this, but I just can't let go of it, just put it in a pile and just keep those sentimental things. And maybe someday you'll sort through them and go, like, this isn't really sentimental anymore, I don't need this. But yeah, like, it can just really hold you up when you're like sorting through things, to be like, there's no reason to keep this, I should get rid of it, but I don't want to. Like, if you're having those feelings at all, just put it in a box, put it in a pile, and maybe you end up with 10 boxes of sentimental things, and maybe you never sort through them, you never get rid of them, and they're just there, and that makes you feel good. But I mean, I think you could take that to the extreme if you're keeping every single thing, like the pencil that you took your first test in first grade with. Like, it might be time to let that pencil go. But I just think it's okay to keep some things around just because they make you feel good. And this is my favorite tip. It's the magical tip. Number 6, go back to an area that you have cleaned and just feel the energy there. Feel the space that you've created and feel the magic, the life-changing magic of tidying up. So I don't care if it's like you sorted through one shelf on your bookshelf or one drawer in your bathroom. Go back and look at that, and you can just feel like this clean energy. I cleaned my bedroom on Saturday, and it's like, I don't want to leave my bedroom. It just feels so magical in here that there's all this space, and every single thing that's in my room right now is something that I love. So, feel the magic. So those are my 6 points. And there's actually probably, I could talk about this for like days and days and days, but these are the 6 I came up with for tonight. So the number 1 thing is to shift your mindset. Don't feel like you need to hold on to everything. Thank it for its service. It's no longer serving you, so let it go. Number 2 is that you don't have to do it just like the book. You don't have to do it just like I did. You don't have to do it just like anybody did. Like, find what works for you. Number 3, and this may not apply to you, but it did for me for sure, is make it a party. Get someone to come help you. Get the right person to come help you. And just have fun with it. Number 4, take it one thing at a time, and don't let yourself get overwhelmed with this, because it's fun. Number 5 is to save the sentimental stuff for last. And maybe you get to it, maybe you don't. But don't let that hang up your progress. And number 6 is to go back to something that you've sorted through and just feel the magic that you've created. Okay, and now I want to talk about 3 things to avoid. So the number 1 thing is perfectionism. When I read that book, it's like brought out all the perfectionism in me, and I was just like, I have to do it exactly how she did it. I have to do it all at once. I have to like not fulfill any of my obligations and get my kids and my husband, everyone out of the house, and I need to just do this. But I think that some is better than none, and when you just start, you start anywhere, start small. Like, I was overwhelmed and I didn't feel like I could even start to sort through the things and decide if I wanted some things in my life or not, because I just felt like it was this massive undertaking and I had to do it perfectly. And that's not true, obviously. Just start where you are, start with something, and let it snowball. The number 2 thing, two thing to avoid, and this one's huge, is don't keep your pile of things that you're getting rid of in your house. Once you've decided that something is no longer serving you, you have to get it out. You have to get it out within like 5 minutes. And there's lots of reasons for that. One is that, like, if you have kids, they'll start pulling it out and they'll start playing with it again, and then all that time and energy is wasted. And the other reason is that you might change your mind. It's really hard to let things go, and so you might just be like, oh wait, no, I actually want to keep that. Worst case, you let it go and you end up having to get it again. I'm serious, like within 5 minutes, if you can, or an hour or a day. Like, don't let it go past a day. Once you've decided to donate something or throw it away, get it out of there. And don't be like, oh, I'm saving this because I'm going to go give it to my friends. And I don't know, that's a story for another day. But like, don't feel like you have to just pawn all your stuff off on someone else, because then you're just giving them the same problems. Okay, and the number 3 thing, my final thing that you should avoid, my final tip for surrounding yourself with things that you love in your life, is to avoid getting into fights. Not that I speak from personal experience, but I do. There are a lot of emotions tied up in the things that we have in our homes. There's a lot of memories, there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of just uncertainty. It's weird, but when you pick things up, like, it just brings all these emotions. And looking at piles of things can just trigger all sorts of different emotions. And I actually got in a ginormous fight with my husband on Saturday trying to go through this stuff. And that's how I realized he's not the right person for me to sort through this with. Because he doesn't care what I keep. But anyway. So just recognize that within yourself. Like, don't get in a fight with yourself. Recognize that any emotions that you're feeling, anything you're feeling as you sort through your stuff, that's like totally normal. And just kind of ride those emotions out. And that if the people in your family are having emotions, and give them space, and just be like so generous, so careful, so compassionate with each other while you're working through this process, because there's a lot more emotion tied to stuff than you think there might be. So I hope that's helpful. Maybe you're totally happy with the things that you have in your house and you already feel like you're surrounded with things that you love. And maybe you're not. But I hope that these tips are helpful and that you can get to a place where you feel happy with the things that are in your life. And if you have any questions, just send me a message, because I love to talk about this, especially right now, because I'm like right in it. And so I feel like, it feels so magical. I keep opening the door to my garage and just like smiling, because we've created all this space, and I can see where our camping stuff is. I can see where our luggage is. I can get to the potatoes on top of the fridge. Like, it just feels so good to let things go that are not serving you anymore. And that doesn't just apply to our stuff, but that's a talk for another day. So thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. and let me know if I can help with anything. Okay, see ya.